Welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we are doing something pretty exciting. We're going to completely demystify the core principles of building wealth. We're breaking down some truly paradigm-shifting insights derived from Robert Kiyosaki's legendary personal finance philosophies. Basically, we're going to discover exactly what separates the people who build lasting, multi-generational wealth from those who just stay trapped in an endless cycle of work.
So, let me ask you something right out of the gate. Does working long, grueling hours for a fraction of what you're worth, clinging to this illusion of job security, looking forward to a measly 3-week vacation every year, and then maybe, just maybe, settling for a questionable pension after 45 years of hard work, does that sound tempting to you? I'm guessing no. If that exhausting standard life path sends a shiver down your spine, grab a notebook because you are in exactly the right place.
Okay, here's our roadmap for The Explainer today. We're going to tackle this massive topic by breaking it down into 5 actionable pillars. We've got Section 1, the rat race illusion. Section 2, assets versus liabilities. Section 3, the corporate shield. Section 4, focus over diversification. And finally, Section 5, the financial education imperative.
All right, let's jump right into Section 1, the rat race illusion. And really, the illusion of security.
You know, society feeds us this fundamental myth from the time we're kids. Study hard for years, get a good job at a safe company, also you can earn a slightly higher salary. But the reality of how the wealthy actually operate is completely different. They study hard so they can find great companies to buy. This is perfectly captured by Kiyosaki's 2 contrasting father figures. His poor dad was incredibly smart. He had a PhD, but he was always struggling with money because he spent years studying just to get a few hundred extra bucks in his monthly paycheck. Meanwhile, his rich dad was literally a high school dropout, but he had an absolute abundance of wealth because he used that same time to acquire assets.
Moving on to Section 2, assets versus liabilities. This right here, this is the core foundation. Time for a quick pop quiz to challenge how we look at our stuff. Is your recently bought iPhone an asset? How about a brand new BMW? Or what about the big one? Is your house an asset? I mean, most people enthusiastically yell yes to that last one, right? They claim their house is their absolute greatest investment.
Well, the answer really comes down to one stark, incredibly simple definition. An asset is something that puts money in your pocket. A liability is something that takes money out of your pocket. That means the answer to our pop quiz is actually no for all 3 of those things. Your phone, your car, and yes, even your house take money out of your pocket every single month through maintenance, taxes, and depreciation. If your house is your greatest investment, you might actually have a problem. But is owning a piece of a profitable company an asset? Oh, absolutely.
It's wild when you look at the drastic difference in cash flow habits between the classes. The middle class earns their money from a solid job, but the very moment that salary hits their account, they spend it on liabilities. Big TVs, fancy cars, vacation homes, things they mistakenly think are assets. Now you might look rich doing this, and your friends will probably think you're doing great, but you'll never actually build real wealth that way. The wealthy mindset dictates that the moment income comes in, it's immediately deployed to buy assets, stocks, bonds, cash-flowing real estate. They buy resources that literally print more cash for them in the future. It's kind of funny how people justify buying a $60,000 car as a guaranteed loss, but then turn around and say buying financial assets is just too risky.
All right, Section 3, the corporate shield. Because once you build wealth, you need to know how to protect it.
You've probably heard this before. Warren Buffett, literally one of the richest men on earth, is famous for paying a lower tax rate than his secretary. I mean, how does that happen? Well, we all know the Robin Hood story, right? Steal from the rich, give to the poor. Inspired by that, the working classes basically invented taxes to try and create a more equal society. But the rich, they're way too smart to just let that happen. Instead of getting Robin Hooded, they found legal vehicles to shield their hard-earned money. And because of that, taxes often end up just taking from the middle class to give to the poor instead.
The secret sauce here is the massive advantage of corporate tax flow. The #1 expense for the average household is taxes. It is not uncommon for people to essentially work from January all the way to May just to pay the government, losing 40 to 50% of their income right off the top. Think about that. As an employee, you earn, you get taxed immediately, and then you just try to survive on whatever's left over. But a corporation earns income, spends money on expenses first, and then only pays taxes on what remains. It's a game changer.
And beyond taxes, corporations offer a second massive benefit: protection from devastating personal lawsuits. Okay, imagine you're running a little shop selling boat supplies. Suddenly, a group of Swedish Vikings raid your shop. They steal your ores, they steal your wood, they even kidnap your super attractive secretary. Naturally, the secretary's family decides to sue you for negligence during a Viking invasion. If you operate as a sole proprietor and lose that case, they take your personal house, your personal car, everything. You're bankrupt. But if you have an LLC, a limited liability company, that lawsuit is strictly limited to the business. Your personal wallet is completely shielded from the raid. Moving right along to Section 4, Focus over Diversification, we're going to ask, should you really play it safe? Standard financial advice loves to yell at you to diversify. Spread your risk, they say. But putting your few eggs into way too many baskets is actually a poor and middle-class habit. Listen, there is absolutely no reason to diversify your portfolio if you only have a small fortune to begin with. To become rich, you have to be focused. The wealthy habit is putting your eggs in a few, carefully vetted baskets and focusing intensely on them. You want a yield that's actually going to move the needle in your life. You only look toward diversification once you've hit a level of wealth that would be nearly impossible to earn back working a normal 9-to-5. Just look at the heaviest hitters from 2018. Jeff Bezos with Amazon, Bill Gates with Microsoft, Warren Buffett with Berkshire Hathaway. These guys did not get ridiculously wealthy by being hyper-diversified across hundreds of random little side hustles. No way. They got rich through a relentless, laser-sharp focus on single companies.
The reality is, traditional finance theory argues that diversification reduces risk. But true risk is just a result of uncertainty, and uncertainty happens when you don't know what you're doing. By staying focused on just a few investments, you actually buy yourself the time to gather deep, meaningful information about them. You organically reduce your risk by becoming a total expert, all while keeping your potential for a massive upside incredibly high.
And that brings us to Section 5, the Financial Education Imperative. This right here is the ultimate tool. People love to say that the love of money is the root of all evil. But honestly, the lack of money is the root of a whole lot of evil too. Money is a form of power, sure, but financial education, that is way more powerful. I mean, why do you think celebrities who made massive, unbelievable fortunes, guys like 50 Cent or Mike Tyson, ended up filing for bankruptcy? Because money without financial intelligence is money that's soon gone. Schools don't teach this stuff. It's supposed to be taught at home. And if your parents weren't rich, well, you have to take absolute responsibility for your own financial literacy. So here is the exact blueprint you need. The 4 pillars of financial literacy. First up, accounting. That's your ability to actually read the numbers, whether it's a corporate annual report or just your own personal bank statement. Second, investing. The literal science of using your money to make more money. Third, markets. Understanding the basic foundational rules of supply and demand. And fourth, law. Fully grasping those tax advantages and corporate protections we talked about earlier. But to actually master these pillars, you have to check your ego at the door. Arrogant people think they already know it all. They'd much rather talk than listen. But as the old saying goes, we were given 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. Listening and learning is far more important than talking. Don't be afraid to spend money on your own brain. Buy the books, go to the seminars, do whatever it takes to beat your weaknesses. The return on investment you get from your own financial education is absolutely unmatchable. And that brings us to our final thought. Today, we tore down the illusion of the rat race. We totally redefined what a true asset actually is. We explored the incredible shield of corporations. We proved why focus beats diversification, and we highlighted why financial education is your best weapon. So I'm going to leave you with this one question. When that next paycheck hits your bank account, are you going to blow it on a liability that just drains your pocket, or will you use your newfound education to go buy a true asset that builds your future? The choice is entirely yours. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I'll see you next time.